Welcome back to the Chattable podcast, where we learn real English in real life and have fun and be proud.
It's really wonderful to be back.
Yeah, we're super excited today.
Absolutely. Because today, we are opening up the toolkit to look at something very specific. We're looking at how the high-stakes, adrenaline-fueled world of sports has completely infiltrated the way we speak in the quiet, carpeted corridors of the office.
It is so fascinating, isn't it? Because, we like to think of the boardroom as this really rational place.
Right.
A place of pure logic and numbers and spreadsheets. But half the time, when you actually stop and listen to what people are saying, they aren't speaking literal English at all.
Not at all. They were speaking entirely in metaphors.
Exactly. They're using these vivid images.
Precisely. And if you don't understand the image behind that metaphor, the underlying strategy, the frustration, the raw excitement of it, you completely miss the actual meaning of the conversation.
Yeah, you might hear the literal words, but you completely miss the intent.
You miss the subtext entirely.
So today's episode is all about upgrading that vocabulary toolkit for you, our listener. We aren't just looking at random slang today.
No, these are essential tools.
Right. We are looking at 3 specific phrases that have made this massive leap from the playing field straight into the professional world. And our mission today is to master these 3 phrases so you can drop them into conversation naturally.
So you sound like you truly belong in the room.
Exactly. I am ready if you are.
Let's do it.
Okay, let's unpack this first one. It's a phrase that, honestly, when you first hear it, it sounds a little suspicious.
It does have a sneaky quality to it.
It really does. The phrase is sniff around.
Sniff around. It's so evocative, isn't it? It immediately triggers a sensory response.
Yeah, it really paints a picture.
Yeah.
So let's start with the source example we have here, just to kind of ground us in the context before we tear it apart.
Good idea.
It's a sentence about a high school coach, and it goes like this. The coach is sniffing around other school playgrounds to find a good quarterback for his high school football team.
That is such a great sentence to start with because it really sets up the stakes. But before we get into the whole strategy of it, let's just look at the origin.
The actual literal meaning.
Right. What comes to mind visually when you hear those 2 words? Sniff around.
Well, immediately, I'm picturing a dog.
It's
not just any dog, not a little poodle. I'm picturing a hound.
Precisely. This comes directly from the animal kingdom.
I'm imagining this dog, head totally down, nose practically buried in the dirt. It's not barking.
No barking.
It's not running wild or playing. It's just intensely focused.
That is the absolute key imagery here.
Yeah.
Think about that action. The dog is using its nose to investigate. It is hunting or maybe trying to find a hidden treat somewhere in the yard.
Right, it's on a mission.
But the crucial part of the metaphor, and this is honestly what makes it so incredibly useful in human language, is the way the dog explores. It's exploring quietly.
Yes.
It is using its senses to gather information long before it actually acts.
It's like investigative work. It's intelligence gathering, basically.
It is. And when we transfer that exact metaphor over to humans, it keeps that core meaning.
Yeah.
It implies investigating something or looking for opportunities. But, and here is the nuance that many learners miss, doing so quietly.
Doing so quietly. That distinction is huge. Because think about it. If I just tell you, I'm looking for a job, that's completely neutral.
It's just a statement of fact.
Right. But if I lean in and say, I'm sniffing around for a job, that carries a whole different vibe.
It does. What's fascinating here is the implication of informality and discretion.
Discretion is the perfect word for it.
If you're sniffing around, it is not a formal search. It is definitely not a public announcement.
I haven't made any big decisions yet.
You aren't committed, no.
So you're not putting up a giant billboard? You aren't sending out a press release to the world?
No, it implies a total lack of official announcements. It involves asking people, on the side.
As the record.
Exactly. You are checking out the competition. You are looking for clues without drawing too much attention to yourself.
Because you want to see what is out there before you actually let anyone know you're interested.
You want to test the waters.
I love that. It's sneaky, but in a really smart, calculated way. It sounds proactive.
Strategic. I would definitely say it's the language of strategy. It's all about risk management.
How so?
Well, you don't want to expose your position until you know if there is actually a prize worth hunting.
Okay, that makes total sense. Strategic risk management. So let's put this into a real-world sports narrative to see how it actually plays out in practice. We have this really great scenario in our notes involving Andy Reid.
Ah, the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
An absolute legend in American football.
Right. So imagine the situation here. Andy Reid is sitting in his office looking at his roster, and he realizes his backup quarterback might retire soon.
Or maybe the backup just isn't performing well in practice.
Exactly. Now, this is an incredibly vulnerable spot for a professional team to be in.
Beyond vulnerable. In the NFL, if you don't have a quarterback, you simply don't have a team.
You're dead in the water.
You are. But this is where the strategy of our phrase comes in. Does Andy Reid hold a massive press conference, call all the media, and shout, "Hey, everyone, we are desperate for a quarterback"?
No way. That would be an absolute disaster.
Why?
Well, first off, it would instantly panic the fans. They'd think the whole season is in jeopardy.
Right.
Second, it would alert all the other teams in the league. If they know you're desperate, they will charge you so much more for a trade, they'll use your desperation against you.
Leverage, exactly.
And third, it might really upset his current quarterback. It ruins the team morale.
Exactly. It is just bad business. So what does he do instead?
He goes into sniff around mode.
He does.
Yeah.
He maintains the public facade that everything is perfectly fine, the team is great, but behind the scenes, the nose is on the ground.
He's tracking the scent.
He might text a few college coaches privately.
Yeah, just a super quick message. Hey, anyone looking good this year? Anyone standing out in your program?
Right. And he sends a scout to observe a few college practice games. Not the big televised games, the quiet practices.
Just to watch.
Just to observe, wearing a hat, sitting in the back row of the bleachers.
And that is exactly where the sports reporter comes in. They see this activity, they notice these quiet behind-the-scenes moves, and they report on it.
And what do they say?
They say, I hear Andy Reid is sniffing around the college leagues for a young, fast quarterback.
You see how perfect that word is in that context?
Yeah.
It totally captures the secrecy, the preliminary nature of the search, and the clear intent to find a prize.
It really does. It tells the whole story of the hidden game behind the game. But let's bring this home to you, the listener, because let's be honest, most of us aren't NFL head coaches.
Speak for yourself.
Well, I'm certainly not. We don't have a team of scouts at our disposal. So how does this apply to, say, someone working a standard 9-to-5 corporate job?
It applies perfectly to everyday career management. In fact, I would argue that sniffing around is the absolute most common way professionals find new jobs.
Okay, let's use the scenario we have here of, let's call her Sarah.
Okay, Sarah, let's look at Sarah's situation.
What's going on with her?
Sarah is unhappy at her job. Maybe her boss is really difficult to work with, or the pay just isn't keeping up with inflation. But, and this is crucial, she hasn't quit yet.
Right.
She still relies on that paycheck. She still has a mortgage to pay.
So she has security, but she's actively craving opportunity.
Exactly.
She can't exactly go and update her LinkedIn status to, please hire me, I absolutely hate it here.
No.
Or even put up one of those green open to work banners, especially if her boss or her coworkers are highly active on the platform.
That would be incredibly dangerous for her. It publicly signals disloyalty. She could easily get fired before she actually finds a new safe landing spot.
So what does she do?
She adopts the strategy of the hound. She isn't posting openly. She is quietly checking job boards during her lunch break.
She's keeping it very low profile.
She is whispering to contacts at industry networking events. Maybe she goes for a coffee with an old colleague from 5 years ago and just casually asks, "So, how are things at your firm? Are you guys growing right now?"
Yeah, she's sending those quiet text messages. Hey, how's it going over at your place? Are you guys hiring in the marketing department?
Exactly. She is quietly gathering data. She is checking the scent trails to see what's out there.
And the sentence you would use to describe Sarah to a mutual friend is, Sarah is quietly sniffing around for open roles at Google and Microsoft.
Right. It applies she's testing the waters. She hasn't jumped into the pool yet.
She's just hunting for the scent of an opportunity.
And notice the power dynamic here, which is really important. By sniffing around, Sarah retains all the power.
How so?
Well, if she doesn't find anything good,
Yeah.
or the market is just bad right now, she just stays at her current job. And nobody knows she was ever looking. She risks nothing.
That is such a useful phrase. It adds so much more color than just saying looking. It adds that whole layer of intelligence and caution and strategy.
It really is a great addition to the toolkit.
Okay, so we've got the quiet strategic investigation down. Now I want to shift gears completely for our second phrase.
Where are we heading now?
We are going from quiet strategy to high-stress, boiling frustration.
A very, very common emotion in the modern workplace.
Unfortunately, yes. If you've ever worked in an office, you know this feeling. The next phrase on our list is move the goalpost, or sometimes you'll hear it plural, move the goalposts.
This is a heavy hitter. This is a phrase that deals entirely with fairness, or rather, the complete lack of it.
Let's look at the source sentence here to get the context. It goes, a regulator keeps moving the goalpost with their shifting policies, so the companies are having a hard time planning their products and investments.
Oof. You can practically feel the tension in that sentence.
Yeah.
You can feel the sheer exhaustion of those companies.
You really can. Now, for the visual here, I mean, this one is pretty literal, right? We don't really need to overthink the imagery on this one.
It is very literal, yes. But let's make it visceral for the listener. I want you to picture a sports field.
Oh,
It could be American football, it could be soccer, it could be rugby. Any sport that has literal posts at the end of the field that define the scoring target.
Okay, I've got the field in my head. It's green grass. The lines are painted bright white.
Good. Now imagine you are the player. You have the ball. You have run all the way down the length of this field. You are tired. You are sweaty. Your heart is absolutely pounding in your chest, but you are ready.
I'm there.
You have done all the hard work. You are just about to kick the ball to win the game.
I'm totally locked in. I'm about to score. The crowd is going wild.
And suddenly, right before your foot actually hits the ball, the opposing team, or maybe even the referee, physically picks up those heavy goalposts, rips them right out of the dirt, and moves them 50 yards away to the left.
That's infuriating. It's physically impossible to score now.
It's completely absurd. And above all, it's completely unfair. You played by the rules of the game, but the rules changed at the very moment of truth.
It's like, I did everything right. I got to exactly where I was supposed to go.
And that feeling, that very specific, sickening mix of absurdity, unfairness, and wasted effort is exactly what this phrase captures in English.
So essentially, it means changing the rules in the middle of the game.
Correct. If we want a textbook definition, it is defined as changing rules, conditions, or expectations in the middle of a process.
Right.
And the result is always that it makes success much harder or even impossible to achieve after the work has already started.
That after the work has started part is the key, isn't it? Because if you tell me the goal is really far away at the very beginning of the project, that's fine.
Exactly.
I can train for that. I can prepare my budget for that.
Right. It is all about the shift. It is about the breach of the initial contract. And that is exactly why this phrase is almost always used to express deep frustration.
I don't think I've ever heard it used positively.
No, you rarely hear someone happily say, "Oh, they moved the goalpost today. How wonderful for us."
No, never. It's always a complaint. It's really an accusation.
It is. It's a professional way of saying, "I didn't fail. The system failed me."
Let's look at the big business scenario provided in our notes for this one, because this really illustrates the massive scale of it. We're talking about Apple and Tim Cook. This isn't just a friendly game. This is about billions of dollars.
Extremely high stakes indeed.
So the setup goes like this. Apple spends 2 whole years of intense R&D prepping a major product launch for the European market.
Massive investment.
Huge. And they are following every single rule, dotting every I, crossing every T. They have armies of lawyers, engineers, and designers all working toward this one specific launch date.
They are playing completely by the rule book that exists at that time. They are investing millions based on the current legal reality.
Exactly. But then we get the twist. Right before the launch, the European Union regulators announced 3 new, incredibly strict privacy rules.
Wow.
Rules that literally did not exist when Apple started the project 2 years ago.
So suddenly the finish line isn't where Apple thought it was. The compliance infrastructure they spent 2 years building is just no longer enough.
Right. And you can just imagine the boardroom meeting. You can imagine Tim Cook's frustration here. He's got the product completely ready to ship, but he can't score. The regulators have physically moved the target.
So in a press interview or an earnings call, he might say something like, "It is impossible to launch our products on time if the regulators keep moving the goalposts."
It's that helpless feeling of chasing a target that refuses to stand still.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture of business planning, this is the absolute nightmare of every CEO.
Because they need predictability.
Exactly. Companies need stability. They need to know that X equals X. When a regulator or a partner or a vendor moves the goalposts, it destroys that stability entirely. It makes long-term planning basically impossible.
But it's not just CEOs who deal with this.
Right.
This happens to us normal people all the time. I think everyone listening right now has had a moment where they felt this specific sting.
It certainly does trickle down. Let's bring it right down to the everyday office level.
Okay, picture this, listener. You have a boss, and this boss promises you a big promotion.
Always a good start.
Right. And the deal is simple. It is explicit. You need to secure 10 new clients this quarter, and the promotion is yours.
A very clear, measurable goal. A stationary goalpost. You can look at that and say, okay, I can do that.
Right. So you sacrifice everything for a few months. You work late. You grind. You make the terrible cold calls. You skip lunch. And finally, on the last day of the quarter, you get those 10 clients.
You hit the target.
You walk into the boss's office. You proudly put the list on the desk, completely ready for your handshake and your new title.
And then the boss looks at the list, leans back in his chair, sighs, and says, Vin.
Actually, looking at the recent numbers and looking at the wider economy right now, you actually really need 15 clients to qualify for the promotion.
Ouch. That hits so hard.
That is literally the worst feeling. It feels like you've been entirely cheated.
Because you have been. It is a complete betrayal of the agreement. Your boss just moved the goalposts. He changed the fundamental condition of success after you had already fulfilled the original condition.
And what's really impactful about using the specific phrase in that moment is that it calls out the unfairness directly.
It does.
It's not just you whining and saying, that's hard. It's saying, you broke the established rules of the game.
Precisely. It frames the situation as a serious breach of trust. It is a very powerful professional way to advocate for yourself, or at least to vent your frustration to a colleague at the coffee machine.
Yeah, if you walk out of that manager's office and tell your coworker, I cannot believe he just moved the goalposts on me, they immediately understand the entire dynamic.
Instantly.
They know you aren't just complaining about having a heavy workload, you are complaining about a lack of integrity.
It creates instant solidarity among coworkers. It signals that the management is unreliable.
Okay, so we have the cautious, quiet sniffing around, and we have the deeply frustrating moving the goalposts. Now, I want to change the energy of the episode again. I want to end on a really high note.
Let's change the energy. Let's wake everyone up.
Let's bring the electricity back. The final phrase in our toolkit today is buzz or buzzing.
Oh, I can feel the energy picking up already. This is a word that literally vibrates when you say it.
The example sentence we have from the source material is, his fans are buzzing about his potential return to the tennis court again.
A very classic usage of the word.
Now, buzz. This is another one rooted in nature, right? We are back to the animal kingdom, but a totally different part of it this time, not dogs.
It is. This one is entirely auditory. It is about sound.
The sound of bees.
Exactly. The literal physical sound of bees or insects flying together in a swarm. That continuous vibrating bzzz sound.
It's a sound that implies constant frantic motion.
It's relentless. It's not the sound of one single bee. It's the sound of 1,000 bees working together.
And if you go back centuries, people started using this concept metaphorically.
Yes. Imagine a massive crowd of people. Maybe they are in a busy medieval market square or a theater or a packed stadium, and everyone is talking excitedly at once to the person standing next to them.
A sort of dull roar, a murmur that fills the air.
Exactly. From a distance, that collective human voice, that overlapping mixture of whispers and laughs and gasps, it sounds exactly like a hive of bees. It sounds like a buzz.
That is such a cool historical connection. I never really thought about a human crowd sounding like insects, but it's totally true. It's that underlying vibration, and it's really distinct from just shouting, right?
Very distinct. Shouting is aggressive. It's usually angry.
But buzzing is its anticipation.
Yes. And in modern usage, we have taken that literal sound and turned it into a feeling. We have turned it into a metric of interest.
Like a way to measure popularity.
Exactly. It describes high excitement, intense interest, or widespread rumors spreading through a community.
It's super versatile, too. You can use it as a noun or a verb.
Yes, you can say, there is a lot of buzz around this product, using it as a noun to describe the general atmosphere. Or you can say, everyone is buzzing right now, using it as a verb to describe the action of the people themselves.
And in the age of social media, this word is doing an incredible amount of heavy lifting. It feels like this word was practically made for the internet age.
It is the absolute perfect word for viral moments. Because on social media, you can almost literally hear the noise. When a topic is trending on Twitter or TikTok, when everyone is retweeting and sharing at the exact same time, it perfectly mimics that swarm behavior.
And your phone literally buzzes in your hand.
It does. The physical vibration of the push notification connects right back to the original bee metaphor.
Let's look at the sports scenario here, because it captures that viral, internet-breaking nature perfectly. We're talking about Rafael Nadal, one of the absolute greats of tennis.
A living legend. The king of clay.
So the setup goes like this. Nadal has been injured for a year. Nobody knows his future. Is he retiring? Is he coming back for one last tournament? The tennis world is completely silent. There is a total vacuum of information.
The suspense is just building and building. The fans are waiting for any sign of life.
And then the spark. He posts the video on Instagram. It's not a formal press conference. It's not a long written statement. It is only 5 seconds long.
Short, sweet, and incredibly mysterious.
It's just a quick clip of him hitting a fierce forehand on a clay court. And the caption doesn't explain anything. It just says one single word: soon.
Oh, that is masterclass marketing right there. It's teasing the audience perfectly.
Right. And what happens next?
Explosion. The hive wakes up instantly.
Journalists are frantically tweeting, fans are sharing it to their stories, sports channels are interrupting their broadcasts to break the news. The whole internet is on fire.
Everyone is analyzing the 5-second clip. Did you see his footwork? Is his shoulder 100%? When exactly is soon?
And that electric, chaotic, overlapping energy, that is the phrase in action. A reporter would say, the whole sports world is buzzing about Nadal's potential comeback.
It perfectly implies that everyone is talking about the exact same thing at the exact same time.
It suggests a deeply shared anticipation. We are all focused on the same event.
And again, this isn't just for sports. We see this in pop culture constantly. It is essentially the lifeblood of the entertainment industry.
Absolutely. Think about movies. A big blockbuster movie simply cannot succeed at the box office without buzz.
Right. You might tell a friend, there is so much buzz around the new Christopher Nolan film right now.
And what does that mean in practice? It means the trailers just dropped, the fan theories are flying all over Reddit, and people are buying opening night tickets weeks in advance.
The hive is active.
The hive is active. I love that phrasing. It's such a positive, exciting word usually. Unlike moving the goalposts, which is entirely negative, buzz is almost always about thrilling anticipation.
It is about pure potential. Something big is coming, and we're all vibrating with readiness for it. It's a very energizing state for a community to be in.
It really is. It's that exact feeling right before the stadium lights go down and the concert starts.
Exactly.
So let's recap what we've added to our vocabulary toolkit today. We've got 3 really distinct energies here.
We do, and if you look at them closely, they almost tell the chronological story of a project lifecycle.
Oh, how so?
Well, we started with the quiet, strategic investigator.
Sniffing around, like the coach looking for a new quarterback in secret, or Sarah looking for a new job without alerting her terrible boss. That's the research phase. The quiet beginning.
Then, if you are lucky and your project is good, you move to the excitement phase.
Buzz or buzzing, that electric swarm-like energy when everyone is suddenly talking about your launch, the marketing is working beautifully, the fans are ready.
But then, and this is reality, sometimes things go wrong. You face the source of frustration.
Moving the goalposts. Changing the rules mid-game to make success completely impossible, like the regulators changing the laws on Apple, or the boss suddenly demanding 15 clients instead of 10.
3 very powerful metaphors, one from the hunting dog, one from the buzzing bee, and one from the grassy playing field itself.
It really shows how deeply connected our language still is to the physical world, doesn't it? Even in our highly digital, carpeted corporate lives, we are still relying on these primal physical concepts to communicate.
It does. We use these ancient physical experiences, hunting, swarming, playing games, to explain very complex social and economic dynamics. Deep down, we are still just people on a playground trying to figure out the rules of the game.
That is so true. So here's my final challenge to you, the listener. Sometime this week in your next Zoom meeting or when you're just scrolling through your newsfeed, I want you to just observe.
Be the office anthropologist. Watch the tribe.
Exactly. Take a step back. Can you spot someone quietly sniffing around for information? Are they asking questions that are just a little too casual?
Pay attention to the subtext.
Right. Or is there a new project where the buzz is incredibly high? Or, and I really hope this doesn't happen to you this week, is there a manager who might be getting ready to move the goalposts on your workload.
Spotting it early is the very first step to handling it. If you see those goalposts starting to move, you have the vocabulary now to call it out professionally.
Absolutely. Well, that is all for this episode. We really hope you feel a little more equipped to navigate the corporate playing field today.
Keep listening, keep learning, and don't be afraid to actually use these phrases in your next meeting. They are your tools now.
Thanks for joining us on the Chattable podcast. Have fun and be proud of your English. See you next time.